You wanna fight, bro?
Yeah, the Fight Bros podcast.
Two,
Two,
one.
one. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the second episode of the Fight Bros podcast. We're here on Sunday, August 18th. I'm Marcus Burks, and this is Albert Walters.
Hey.
So let's just get right into it, man. Dude, UFC 241. I mean, what a great night of fights. I mean, dude, UFC 241 was awesome.
Oh yeah, great night, great fights. We kind of called it last week, didn't we?
Yeah.
We said Romero was going to go to decision. We said Diaz was going to go to decision. Then we also said, well, I mean, we kind of made a bet about the third fight, Miocic and DC, but we called it pretty well.
Oh, yeah.
So, because that's what we were looking at last night. I mean, Diaz got his win, and what did Dana White say about that?
So, Dana White is finally realizing Diaz's star power, man. This is quoting from what Dana White said last night. They asked him, UFC 241 had the highest selling gate in California ever. Pay-per-view buys were way up there. And there's one reason for this, Nate Diaz. And
Well, I mean, do you think he's the only
I mean,
reason?
They asked Dana
when-
White, they said, do you think Nate Diaz has star power like McGregor,
Yeah.
like Ronda Rousey did, like Brock Lesnar? And he said Nate Diaz is a needle mover.
Well, yeah, but do you think Diaz is like the only reason the cards was up?
Of course not, but
'Cause-
that's a big reason.
Oh,
I mean,
well,
this is
without
his
a doubt.
home, state of California.
Oh yeah, home state, 3 years coming off of not fighting in the ring. So,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I have to agree. He was definitely a needle mover, and the combination with Romero and DC.
Mhm.
Oh God, I think of course that's why it was a large number watching the pay-per-view.
But let's start from Romero Costa and move up and really break down, what exactly happened in these fights. So let's start with Romero versus Paulo Costa. What a war, man.
Oh,
This got fight of the night. Both fighters went out there, 50 G's each. They were rewarded for their just all-out war, man.
oh yeah. It was a great fight. A lot of people out there are saying Romero was robbed though. So it if you look at the numbers, a lot of people agree with it that he was robbed.
Yeah, see, I'm on Romero with this one. I
Yeah.
don't, when me and you were watching it last night, I told you as soon as it ended, I believe Romero won by decision. They broke it down into strikes. Their strikes were very similar. I think their landed strikes or significant strikes were off by just a little bit, maybe
Well,
5, 8 strikes or something.
Yeah,
They
when
was
you
both
look at
right
like head
over-
and body,
they
right?
were both right over 100 for
Yeah.
significant strikes.
Well, because
landed.
Romero had like like right at 100 for just the head, while Lacosta he had
Body.
about 100 but it was 50 roughly for the body, 50 for the head.
Yeah.
So the numbers were similar, but Lacosta definitely won as far as body shots go.
Yeah, but then I looked at it, I was like, Romero had 2 takedowns, he had 1 knockdown on Costa. Obviously Costa kept the pressure the whole time, so if we're looking at it like why Costa won, I mean, the significant strikes were up there, he might have had more than Romero. He kept the pressure the whole time, so he definitely got, the advantage on that end. He knocked Romero down 1 time, and I think he might have had 1 takedown defense or something.
Oh yeah, I agree completely.
But yeah, this was a questionable one that could have really went either way. I was going Romero on this. I felt like this was Romero 2 rounds to 1.
Yeah,
I believe
yeah.
that he beat Paulo Costa. I think first round went to Paulo Costa in my eyes.
I can agree with that
And then
completely.
second and third, I'm going Romero. Dude, I loved how he just kept dodging punches and
Oh,
sticking
yeah.
his tongue out. I mean,
Doing the
That's that Romero that we like, man. That I love you.
I love. Oh yeah, just being a show fighter, and he was. A lot of people say he looked old and fatigued, but that's just kind of how he is as a fighter. So, we were waiting for a big explosion. We definitely had some hard hits in the third round. We had hard hits in every round, but Romero, he definitely came out to bat, and if you look at all the statistics, it's hard to say that he lost.
Yeah, and dude, the way I look at it is, I feel like the UFC and the judges looked at it like this. I felt like Romero's 42.
Yeah.
Even though I think he's at the top of his game, and a lot of people see him at the top of his game, Paulo Costa is 28. He is, a warrior that was 11-0 coming into this fight.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like they just want to push this newer generation. He's a top prospect. He's probably going to get a title shot next against the winner of Robert Whittaker and Israel Adesanya. But I feel like they want to push these younger guys. And, I don't agree with that. I don't base any sport off of age. I believe if you got it, you got it. But I believe that's ultimately why they ended up giving him this decision, is because of the age factor and the potential pay-per-view buys and stuff that Paulo Costa can bring.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I mean, I can see why they want to push him, but also I think this was a questionable call by the UFC.
Oh yeah.
So, but they know the numbers. Maybe they saw things we didn't, but I highly doubt that, because we're watching like hawks. We were getting into it. But great fight for both of the guys. We both wanted Romero to win, but he didn't.
Yeah.
So I don't know, what is this, 3 losses in a row with him?
Yeah, that's 3 in a row, and I don't really know where we go next with him. I mean,
well, do you think he's going to retire?
I don't think he's going to retire, man. I thought he looked really good last night. But, obviously he's 42. I guess, just deciding on what him and his family want to do, if he wants to take more damage just because of the age. I don't believe in age at all. I believe if you got it, you got it. He definitely has it.
Oh, yeah. He's stout. He's a great fighter.
I mean, maybe a move to light heavyweight would benefit Romero. I mean, no weight cut, but he did say that him and John Jones are really good friends, and he would not consider fighting John Jones, which is obviously the ruler of that division.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that'd be a good fight.
Nah, but I think we could see some good fights up there for Romero. And
well, who are you thinking?
I mean, there's still good fights at middleweight, but let's say, what am I thinking at light heavyweight?
Well, either weight class. Who do you think would be a good contender right now for Romero? Because I mean, he is 42 and he's had 3 losses in a row.
So I'm gonna say, let's see. I'm gonna say the loser of Robert Whittaker versus Israel Adesanya maybe should be next for Romero.
I don't think that's a bad claim.
Obviously, maybe if it's Israel, if Robert Whittaker loses, I don't know if the UFC would book that third fight between him and Romero.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there's no point to do it because there's no title on the line, and Robert Whittaker won the first 2. But if Romero would have won last night, then he would have probably got that third fight against Robert Whittaker.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I hated to see him lose. Do you think this could be retirement, though? Because he is an older fighter. This is a common age for people to stop fighting.
I guess it just depends on how he wants to look at it. I mean, if he wants to go out, on top, looking like a warrior, then he might do it now. Because, I mean, even though he took a loss, like, it's a loss on paper, he didn't lose in the eyes of the people that watched that fight. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, win or lose on paper, that was a great fight.
I mean, some fighters want to go out. They want to, go out by the sword. They want to go out there, be champion, be on top, and then get knocked out. Let somebody take over their reign, and then they retire. Not on their own terms. But I mean, I would hate to see him retire, but I understand he's gave us a lot of great fights, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's move on to your boy Diaz.
Yes, let's go. Nathan Diaz, man, back from a 3-year layoff.
Oh yeah.
Everybody was saying,
Yeah.
he's gonna have a ring rust.
Well, you know what I thought was funny about this was when we first got there, you said, "I don't even care if DC and Romero lose. I just want Diaz to win."
Oh yeah,
And that was the outcome.
yeah, I hate that I said that because I feel like it kind of
Yeah, you kind of jinxed him,
kind of
man.
jinxed it, but Nate Diaz is my favorite fighter, man, and I wanted him to come back and show that he's one of the best in the world.
Yeah.
I felt like he did. I felt like Anthony Pettis just knocked out Wonder Boy at 170, and but I think what I think really went into this is I think it was like I said before, Pettis. His original weight class coming into the UFC was 145.
Yeah.
He moved up to 155 and then moved up to 170. He's not a natural 170. He's only cutting a couple of pounds. I mean, obviously Diaz is cutting, maybe 10, 12 pounds to make this weight. But
Yeah.
Pettis is cutting like 5, maybe 8 pounds. And Diaz was the bigger man. But I mean, it went how I thought it was going to go. Diaz was outboxing him. The pressure was a lot for Pettis.
Yeah.
I mean, I just thought it was a really amazing, comeback. But Pettis had a good strategy going in. He started out with the leg kicks. I remember me and you were talking on the last podcast. That's the game plan to beat Nate Diaz. Is he just accepts those leg kicks. He doesn't do a lot of checking with those. He can really get himself in trouble with those leg kicks.
Oh yeah.
People that have beaten him in the past have beat him with stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody staring at us. Come up there on another day.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. We have a couple neighbors here at the hotel. Just
They're just listening to the podcast.
Yeah, they're just listening. They're just supporting the podcast. They have a big poster that says Fight Bros Podcast.
But yeah, this just wasn't Pettis' natural weight class. But I mean, he went out there and knocked out a real welterweight, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. So, nobody should take anything away from Nate Diaz. But how do you feel about this? I know Masvidal is your boy, man. He's your boy now. But Nate Diaz called out George Masvidal after it. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, do you think it's a credible fight? Like, do you think that's something we'll see in the next 6 or 8 months?
Oh, I love this fight.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
It's not what we were really predicting, but I agree. I love it.
Oh, I mean, coming into this, I want the McGregor 3 as much as anybody. I think they need to finish that chapter, but him calling out Masvidal, I like it, man. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I do. Like, I would not have ever predicted that, but I thought he was gonna say, "All right, I'm back, guys. Where's McGregor?" But no, he's calling out Masvidal. So maybe maybe Dana White told him, "Hey, you get 2 wins, I'll give you McGregor." But
Yeah.
maybe he said he doesn't deserve McGregor after just 1.
But dude, this is interesting because he's in this 170 weight division now.
Yeah.
He fights Masvidal at 170. So Masvidal is obviously right under Colby Covington to get a title shot. So we could be looking, Nate Diaz versus Masvidal. Nate Diaz gets a win. He's fighting Usman or Covington. So, this is very interesting.
Yeah. Well, see, I just hope we don't go another 3 years without seeing Diaz.
I don't think,
I don't think we will.
After the praise Dana White gave him last night, I just feel like, we're not gonna see that. I think he enjoyed being back. He enjoyed the love that the fans gave him and stuff. A lot of I was looking last night, and a lot of MMA analysts and stuff were saying that this fight that it would be interesting to see this fight at UFC 244 at Madison Square Garden. I know that's only
3 fights away.
3 pay-per-views away, but I mean, Diaz didn't take a whole lot of damage. I think that's a little too soon, but that would be fun, man.
It would be fun.
At Madison Square Garden.
Honestly, we could potentially get tickets.
Yeah.
It's I've been to New York City a lot. It's really not that far from where we're located. So if we could get tickets, and they do it there, why not?
Yeah.
Go see Diaz live. So, no, I mean, I think that might be a little soon though, but we'll just see. You know what cracked me up about just about the topic of Diaz last night?
What?
You were rocking one of your Diaz shirts, and that guy came up to you, and he said, "Yeah, Nate Diaz," and you said, "Oh yeah." What'd you say about Pettis?
So like the guy walked up to me, he was like, "Nate Diaz," and I was like, "Yeah, man." I was like, "He's fighting tonight." He was like, "Oh, I didn't even know he was fighting. Who's he fighting?" And I was like, "Anthony Pettis." And he said, "Oh, that's gonna be a tough fight," and it wasn't.
Oh, that's so funny. I think the guy is familiar with Diaz, but I don't think he actually knows anything about the UFC.
I mean, he just acted like he was a true fan, and I was like, "Dang, man."
Yeah. If you don't really know somebody, I wouldn't suggest going up to someone wearing their regalia and being like, "Yeah, man, I'm loving it." Oh, that's that cracked me up though. Then we stole the poster. So we got another one to add to the wall.
But let's move on to the main event. You know, a lot of people didn't see this happening, and I know my boys back home, Joe Clark and Marcus Payne. They sent me Snapchats last night. They're trying to get in my head. They know I'm a big DC fan, and they're John Jones fans, and they hate DC, man. And
dude, DC is just such a nice guy, though.
It sucked. I hate it for him, man.
Yeah.
He was winning every single round. He won every single round going into that. Like, man, you were saying, or like I told you while we were watching it, I said, dude, I don't understand why he keeps standing up with him. He took him down. I know he took him down that one time with that big slam he had.
Yeah. Dude, that was a great slam, though.
That was great, man. It reminded me of when he slammed Dan Henderson like a long time ago.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
DC's a very good wrestler, man. I just thought he should have stuck with that. And I mean, I know he said at the post-fight press conference, he blamed his loss on not sticking with the game plan that his coaches gave him. So he didn't go and entail what the game plan was, but I feel like that game plan was him wrestling a little bit more, going for the takedown, trying to get that single leg. I mean, obviously he was getting Stipe a lot.
This was great back and forth.
Yeah, but I just felt like he should have took him down more, man. DC took a lot of damage in that fourth round.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, I love both of these guys. I hated to see DC lose, but, I mean, we had a bet, so obviously I was going for Miocic. But, oh my God, it was hard to watch DC lose like that. I mean, Miocic, he just landed several hard hits. And, I mean, that really shows the power that Miocic has, because he's a conservative fighter.
Yeah.
But just to see him just really explode there when he phased DC, that was a good combination on his part.
Yeah, and dude, I hate to say it, but I knew it was over when he hit him with that spleen shot.
Oh yeah, well he just kept hitting him.
I mean, I think that was like the 5th or 6th spleen shot he hit him with. You know, Stipe, he noticed that he kept leaving that open. So he just kept hitting him with it. And then I knew it was over when he hit DC with that last one, and DC stumbled after. He hit him with the spleen shot. DC started stumbling a little bit. Then he hit him with a cross to the face. And then it was over from then, man.
Yeah.
I mean, DC was kind of out of it. It reminded me of when he got head kicked by John Jones, just the stumble. And I hate to say that because I'm as big as a DC fan as they come.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, I hate to say that. But, you know, what do you think's next for him, man? He's 40 years old. You hate to see somebody get knocked out like that at 40.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, you hate to see it. He even said, you know, Joe Rogan asked him right there in the ring. Shout out to Joe Rogan. Love him. But, he even asked DC right there in the ring, hey, what's next for you? And DC said, well, I've just got to go back, talk to my camp, talk to my family, and see what is a good decision to make from here. So,
Yeah, dude, I'm not sure on what he should do. Obviously, in terms of what's next for Stipe Miocic, I think we could be looking at a Stipe Miocic versus Ngannou 2 for the title.
Yeah.
That fight's there. Stipe obviously got an immediate rematch against DC. He did not fight for a whole year. He wasn't injured or anything. He just kept waiting for this DC fight.
Yeah.
So I feel like there is a possibility, just because of the relationship between Dana White and Daniel Cormier, that we could see an immediate rematch for, Daniel Cormier versus Stipe.
Did Stipe call anybody out? I couldn't really hear.
Nah, I mean, that division's kind of getting worked through right now. I mean, there's two people who could fight for the title. It's just two people. You could go Ngannou, because he's just been knocking out people. It seems like he's got his confidence back.
If you look at Ngannou and Lewis, I mean, you can't base it off just one
After
fight.
that, he's been on a run, man.
Yeah.
It's been 3 people in a row. I mean, he knocked out a killer in Cain Velasquez.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't disagree. I think Ngannou is a great fighter. I don't think that'd be a bad fight at all for Stipe and Ngannou.
Yeah, and I'm leaning towards more of that's going to be what's next.
Instead of DC.
Yeah, I just don't know if DC can't get this fight against Stipe. I just don't know what's next for him, man. Because the John Jones trilogy, to me, in my eyes, is not there anymore. I felt like he needed to win this fight, and he needed to call out John Jones for that to happen. But I don't see it happening now.
No. I don't. Right now, I do not think ever we'll see another DC and Jones fight. But what I do see is Stipe and Ngannou fighting next. Then I see DC just taking a year or two off, and then the UFC comes up to him and says, "Look, man, we're gonna offer you a crap ton of money if we do DC and Stipe 3." Because the reason DC and Jones couldn't work is because Jones already won twice.
Yeah.
You can argue the steroids, but excluding that, Jones has 2 wins. The UFC normally doesn't push for a third fight if somebody already has 2 wins. If they already have 2 out of 3. But now, right now, Miocic has 1, DC has 1. Now, I think DC is going to take some time off. But I definitely think we'll see a DC and Miocic 3. But I think it's going to be 2 or even 3 years away. It's not going to be soon. I don't
agree with
think.
you on that. I could see Ngannou and Stipe happening maybe at the beginning of the year in 2020. And then maybe if Stipe retains, maybe we could see, Daniel Cormier. I could possibly see him retiring, like announcing his retirement soon. And then if Stipe beats Ngannou, I could see him coming out of retirement near the end of the year and facing Stipe for the 3rd time.
Yeah, I think
the end of 2020.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think at the earliest it would be the end of 2020. We'll see DC and Miocic. I think DC might even claim that he's in retirement. He might say, "No, I'm not doing it anymore." I think a year and a half in, he's gonna sit there and say, "Heck yeah! Like I'll take a lot of money now," and he's gonna be well rested. So I think he needs a break right now.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So what's next?
But we're gonna move on from UFC 241. But that was, a great night of fights. I would recommend, if you have UFC Fight Pass, going back and watching, those last 3 fights as soon as they post that UFC 241. Great night of fights.
Yeah.
But let's move on to a topic that has been.
This is pretty interesting.
It's been interesting. So Henry Cejudo called out Valentina Shevchenko for an intergender 125-pound championship fight, and a lot of people don't know, is he being serious or is he doing this all for fun? Is he just being a funny guy? This cringy Cejudo that we hear about.
Well, what do you think? Do you think he's being serious or he's having a little fun?
Dude, I don't know, man. Like I kind of feel like he's in the middle. Like I kind of feel like he's joking around, but like in the end, if they end up making this fight, that you know, he wouldn't just, you know, turn it down. So
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, he's just joking around, but if he ended up getting it, he would take it.
Yeah, kind of like there's a little truth behind every joke.
But you know, what do you
So-
think? Do you think this is all for fun, or you know, could this be a real thing?
See, I don't know. I kind of agree with you. I think he's open to it, but it would almost have to be. It would have to be like a charity event or something like that. I don't think the UFC would sanction that fight as a legitimate fight. But I think they could say, yeah, we'll let y'all hash it out for a charity event. Because you know, charity events you can do just about anything. But I don't know. I agree with you though. I think he's kind of joking, but kind of serious about it. So
Let me get your take on how. I got a really good take on this, but I want to get yours first. How would intergender fighting be good or bad for the UFC? Would it work? Would they ever do it?
I see a lot of problems with it. I see a lot of just like most decisions like this. Just like with most decisions like this, you're gonna have people for it and you're gonna have people against it. You know, as we said in our first video, we're not really judgmental based off gender or whatever,
Yeah.
but this is just kind of weird. I mean, I'm open to just any fight. But let's say this fight happens. Let's just say, you know, it happens next month. Not going to, but let's say it did. Do you think it would be a one-time thing, or do you think the UFC would kind of let an intergender fight happen every year? Because if that was the case, we could see like a Ngannou and Gabby Garcia.
Yeah, that would be fun.
That would actually be a lot of fun.
But look, this is my take on it. So like, I don't see UFC doing this anytime soon. I feel like intergender fighting could possibly be a thing 3 or 4 years down the road. Now look, you know, for those of you who don't know, I went to school at Radford University. I got a major in health and human performance, so I know I had to take classes on a lot of stuff about human bodies. I obviously know, you know, girls and guys, they have, you know, a lot of different differences
Yeah.
in the body regarding
Oh, yeah.
to, you know, muscle mass, you know, body fat percentage, and, you know, strength and stuff like that, like maximum strength. So I know there are differences, but look, this is my take on it, and this, some people may not agree with this, but I think that we need to eventually get to a place, and not just UFC, but all sports, where we're just looking at athletes, where we're just looking at guys and girls as athletes. So let's see who's really the best in the world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like in basketball, you know, there's always this argument, you know, could WNBA basketball players be better than NBA players? Well, let's just look at them all as athletes. Let's just have one big league, one big sports event for every single sport with just athletes, girls and guys, who's the best of the best. And I know there's significant differences in the anatomy, but I mean, I feel like, dude, we could eventually get to this point.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't disagree with you. I think if intergender competitions became a common thing, we'd see a lot of marriages ruined.
Yeah.
You know, because you have some of those southern old men who think they're just right and everything, and they're gonna say, "Oh, well, men are obviously superior," but like that's not the case. No, I'm not saying solely women are either, but on an individual level, some men are and some women are.
Yeah.
So I don't think this is a bad idea, because then right now at this day and age we are coming into you know, there's a lot more transgender people.
And there's a lot more just equality on every level and aspect of life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest arguments and controversies in sports is, what team should a transgender person play on? Should they play on the team of the gender they were born with? or the new gender that they are now.
So see, we
And,
already
and so that's a big controversy. So if you just do intergender fighting, intergender basketball, intergender football, all of that, the people who aren't good, they're not good. They're not going to last.
Yeah.
And so it's I definitely see this being plausible, and I don't think it'd be a bad thing either, because then you're going to see who's the best of the best.
That's what I'm saying, man.
So, because I mean, there's controversies about like if a male who was decently fast, this is actually a real story of a guy. He was born as a guy, decently fast runner, then changed genders, and then now is a woman, started running with the women, and now is in first place. But his times didn't, or her times didn't really change, her running times. So, is that really, at that point, this individual is competing against slower people. And not that those women, not that all women are slower, but maybe just that team was slower than the male team. So he's getting on top, or she's getting on top, because of a gender change. And now that was extremely controversial. And so if we did something like this and just had intergender sports competitions, you would just take the gender out of it, and you're going to see who's the best competitors. So I really like the way you put that.
Yeah, dude, we already see some of this too. Like, girls in high school, if they want to play football, they're allowed to play football. If they want to wrestle, they're allowed to be on the wrestling team. So we're seeing small steps of this.
Yeah.
And, guys are allowed to be on the cheerleading team in high school if they want to cheer. Like, they don't separate some of this stuff.
Yeah.
So I feel like we could, obviously I think it would be, difficult. It would have to go down the line. So you would have to eventually start at high school just having like a basketball team. Just, your school's basketball team consisting of the best athletes, girls and guys. Then we would have to go to the college level. This would be taking a lot of business away from the money that colleges make by just combining all sports. So I don't possibly see it happening on that level, but I think it would be good, man. Like, we would get to see who's the best of the best, like you put it.
Yeah. So it would not be a quick, like, if this happened, it would be a slow change. Because, nobody wants to, like the CEO or whoever is over the entire WNBA, he or she doesn't want to not have a paycheck because we just canceled the WNBA and not put them on the males NBA, but just had an NBA. No gender, no nothing. Best of the best. So, that would be a lot of people without jobs, because if we had a lot of great women players, that's going to knock some of the not as good male players out of the NBA. So there's going to be players that aren't playing anymore, and then you're going to have people, working behind the scenes like the CEO and just all these jobs that go into making a production like this. You don't need them anymore. You have one team, and you only need what comes with that one team.
Yeah.
So when you combine two teams, you're going to lose players, and you're going to lose jobs for regular people.
And see, that's a very interesting take on it, because, I seen I seen the money breakdown the other day on a post online. So sticking with the basketball, WNBA players, man, they make about 50 to 60 grand a year.
Well, yeah.
And I mean, dude, that's just ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
This is the best players of the women, and
Well,
the guys. You got LeBron James and them over here, $30 million a year, just more than that, and that's just for salary for 1 year.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Well, I mean, let's look at it like, SNL actually did a funny skit on it too, about WNBA players making like regular people level money.
Yeah.
But I think the issue with this is that the WNBA is not bringing in as much money as the NBA. NBA is getting viewers all around the world. If I walked here on the beach right now and I said, "Who's your favorite NBA player?" to someone random, they're whether they watch NBA or not, they're gonna at least know several people's name.
Yeah.
Now, if you ask them who their favorite WNBA player is, they're gonna sit there and stumble. And that's so. The WNBA is not getting the same amount of viewers. They're not getting, and more viewers, more income.
Yeah. And
So that's kind of what we're looking at. Now it sucks that they're not getting paid that much, but if they came to the NBA league, do you think that they would get paid? Well, they'd get paid more, but do you think they would get paid as much as LeBron James?
yeah, if they went out there and proved that they was the best
Yeah.
athlete in that sport, I feel like they would get paid more.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Well, I mean that's the thing. They would have to prove that they're at that same quality. But
But let's get back to, Shevchenko versus Cejudo. Let's just say this fight happens. How do you think it goes? Or do you want me to give my take first? Either way.
yeah, I wanna hear yours, man, because I don't know about this.
So, see, I think it's a lose-lose for Cejudo. If if you go out there and knock her out,
He's gonna look like a douche.
you're going to look terrible because you just, knocked out a girl. And I'm not taking anything away from women because I do think they can compete with males in a
Yeah.
lot of, in every aspect of life, in anything.
Yeah.
But if he goes out there and knocks her out, he looks like a terrible person. And if he goes out there and gets beat, like, man, you just got beat by Valentina Shevchenko.
Yeah. So then you're running into that paradox of male versus female. So some people are gonna sit there and say, "Oh, how could you get beat by a girl if he lost? Like if
Yeah.
Shevchenko just came out and knocked his ass out, like people are gonna give him crap. But if he goes in there and just lays it on her, man, knocks her out, and I'm talking like a bad knockout, then people are gonna still go there and start claiming like domestic abuse. I know they're not married, but they're gonna be like, oh, this is so inappropriate to watch male and females fight. I think if the UFC did this, they would get all of those churches that protested in front of Target protest the UFC.
Oh,
Yeah, about the Target sharing bathroom thing.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a lot of protests like that about people talking about how it's wrong that a man shouldn't hit a woman. But this isn't a...
It's a sport.
Yeah, this is a sport, and this isn't like him just going up to a random woman and just hitting her. Like, this isn't McGregor hitting that old man.
Yeah.
This is a sanctioned fight where she signs up for it, and she's like, yeah, I don't care if he's got, if he's got male genitals. Like, that's not going to stop me from fighting him. If
Yeah.
that's what Valentino said, then if he said, yeah, I don't care that she's got boobs, like, whatever, she's a person. Like, let's fight. And if it was sanctioned and they're both okay with it, then what's the problem? So for anybody that would protest this, it just doesn't make sense because this isn't nothing forced. This is completely sanctioned by both parties.
I don't really have a prediction on how I would think this would go.
No, me
I kinda
either.
just broke it down. I think I would be able to gain insight on future predictions of how stuff like this would go
Yeah.
if one was made like this. So
Yeah.
I think it would be very interesting. Like I said, I would like to see us get to eventually where everybody's just considered an athlete and it's all one sport, and let's see who the best of the best is.
Oh yeah, because then you knock out the issue of transgender.
Yeah.
That's no longer a problem. Now you can put someone's gender or what gender they have changed into, but that's not going to change the outcome. Because at the end of the day, if two people are fighting and one says they're better than the other and it's sanctioned, then who cares what gender they are?
Oh yeah.
So let's
to our last
talk
topic,
about
yeah.
this McGregor punching
Yeah.
the old man. So do you want to let's hear the story?
All right, so this is going to be our last topic of the podcast, but it's a very interesting topic. I mean, it just happened last week. I'm sure a lot of you have seen the video. Conor McGregor punched an elderly man in the face for dismissing a shot of his own brand of Papa 12 whiskey.
They were at a bar, right?
Yeah, the way this went, I think my understanding they were at a bar, maybe in Ireland or something.
Oh, that's
No, I think
I'm
it
just
was-
I'm just
no,
messing
yeah.
with you, man. I'm
I
giving
think
you
it
a
really
hard
was an
time.
island.
No, I think you're right.
But he started pouring shots of Proper 12. He set them in front of everybody at the bar. He sets it in front of this elderly man. The guy sets it right back on top to say he didn't want it. He does it again. The guy
McGregor puts it back in front of him again. Yeah.
The guy tells him he didn't want it again, and there's some people out there saying that the guy told him, I don't want that stuff. I don't want that nasty
Yeah.
stuff, man.
Well, I think what he's quoted is saying, I don't want that shit. Like it's
Yeah.
nasty or something like that. And so I think maybe if the old man, I'm not saying the old man's in the wrong, but I think by cussing at McGregor and saying that his product is doo-doo, I think that made McGregor snap. But if the old man would have said, hey, I don't like liquor, I don't know, knowing McGregor, he probably would have kept pushing it. Nah, you'll like my liquor.
Yeah.
Like, so I mean, knowing McGregor, he probably would have kept pushing it. But I think how the old man said it made him snap. But I'm not defending McGregor. I think this is some bull crap on his part.
Oh, I'm not defending him either, man.
No,
when
no,
you're
no.
a star like him and you have so much pull in the world and
You're just gonna
he's a
punch an
role
old
model.
man?
I mean, a ton of people look at this guy.
Yeah.
Everybody knows who this guy is.
Yeah, and the video's online, isn't it?
Yeah, but
yeah.
At this level of popularity that he has, you cannot just respond and hit somebody for them saying something like that. I mean, I understand there's certain points that you would respond and hit somebody for just saying words to you.
Yeah.
I won't go into that, but I mean, there's a couple of things that would draw, the fire out of people, but small stuff like that, you just gotta look away, man. Like,
Oh, yeah.
you're a millionaire. You got this brand of Proper 12 whiskey that's doing pretty good. You just gotta turn the other cheek and just walk away.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, as someone who is selling a product, he needs to realize not everybody's going to like it. Craft brew companies. I'm a huge craft beer guy, but not all craft beer is good. But that's what makes it a craft.
Yeah.
That's what it's more or less testing the bounds. So Devil's Backbone Brewery in Virginia, not all their stuff's great, but like their Vienna Lager, oh my god, that is one of the best beers ever, and it has sold all over the U.S.
Yeah.
But it just started off of a basic little craft beer that several people kept trying and said, this is literally the best beer I've ever had. And now it is sold everywhere. I even saw it down here at Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So, but that's just kind of how this is. Not everybody's going to like it. And you're not always going to make a good product. I've not had the Proper 12. Ethan said he's had it, right?
Yeah, Ethan's had it and Joseph's had it, and they seem to like it.
Yeah. But they're liquor guys,
I think they
right?
both said it, yeah. I
Yeah.
think they both, or maybe Ethan said it wasn't as good as Jameson.
I think he said it was
Yeah.
like a watered down Jameson or something
Yeah.
like that.
And
I'm surprised with McGregor being legitimately Irish. This
Yeah.
isn't like some stout liquor that's like you can only drink a little bit of it and it singes the hairs off your chest. I've not tried it, but the two friends that we know who have tried it, they're liquor drinkers, and they said it's a little watery.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know a lot about alcohol or anything.
Yeah, you don't drink at all, which
Yeah.
is completely okay.
But in my understanding, Jameson's been around for a long time, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, that guy, a lot of people they like stuff, and that's what they like. Some people don't like change; they don't accept it. And I mean, even though it was free, the guy might just like Jameson, man, and he might not have wanted it. Like, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, and I agree with you
Yeah.
completely. And maybe the guy's just a beer drinker,
Yeah.
and I mean, even then, maybe the guy's had Proper 12 and thought it was crap,
Yeah.
and maybe that's why he directly said that to McGregor. No, I don't want your crappy product, and then that's completely okay. Not everybody is going to like everything you do, especially when you're selling them a product.
So, here's another question for you. this isn't the first time Conor McGregor's had an incident like this. I mean, he
No,
slapped
like a-
phones out of people's hands.
He,
and-
what did he do to the tour bus? Started breaking windows and stuff like
he's
that?
done
Yeah.
that. Do you feel, with this latest incident, do you feel like he is self-destructing his own career? Or is, could this be viewed as, controversy creates cash?
Yeah.
The more everybody's seeing his face, they're seeing this video, is his, stock going up, or is he self-destructing his whole career?
Well, see, I agree with a little bit of both of those. So my answer is yes to both of them. Controversy will always create cash. It's actually part of the Facebook algorithm is that they understand how every person is on there. They understand whether you're right-winged or left-wing. They understand what things you support based off of what you post. And so Facebook has an algorithm that is always going to push things that you disagree with onto your wall.
Mm-hmm.
Because what that does is keep people on Facebook because they continue to read these things and they get mad. They get mad because they're like, oh, this guy's such an idiot.
Yeah.
So they keep reading it or they keep commenting, and the longer someone's on Facebook is the more money going to Facebook because they have to look at more ads and stuff like that. So that's generating more revenue for Facebook. And so I feel like that's kind of how this is it's controversial, but it's it's going to make the UFC a lot of money. So the next time McGregor has a fight, more people are going to come out to say, I want to see him get his ass beat.
Yeah.
For hitting an old man. And but I don't think it's fair. I think the UFC needs to have some kind of reprimand for him because in NASCAR, if one of the drivers get caught outside of the racetrack and they are speeding and they're driving extremely reckless or they're drinking and driving,
Yeah.
the NASCAR has almost pulled people from NASCAR completely because they've said, we do not want that image. Our drivers are going to drive on the track how they drive, but outside of here, they're not going to drive like hoodlums. And so I feel like the UFC needs to pull that same card here. I know McGregor has a contract with 3 or 5 fights left.
Probably, yeah. He signed a new contract recently.
Yeah, and so he has multiple fights left. This wasn't a one-fight contract. And so I think they need to say, I don't know what's in the contract.
Yeah.
So maybe they can't actually give him any reprimand because maybe in the contract it does not say, oh, well, if you represent us poorly, we can void this contract in a heartbeat. But I don't think they're going to do that because, controversy is profit.
Yeah.
Brings more money. So I think they need to have a reprimand for him, but I don't know how much this really hurts his career.
So to my understanding, so far there's been no charges pressed. I don't think he was arrested for this incident yet, or
He probably won't.
Yeah,
Rich people just don't get arrested a lot over stuff like this.
yeah. But I mean, I just feel like I'm not saying this is what needs to happen, but I just feel like the UFC is gonna give him a slap on the wrist,
Yeah.
and he's still gonna, turn around and come back and fight, whether that's Nate Diaz or Khabib or Poirier.
Oh, yeah.
I think there should be a little bit of a punishment. I think there should be a fine. I feel like the
Yeah.
UFC as a brand should be like, nah, man, this ain't okay. Once they find out the details
Yeah.
of what actually went down between the elderly man.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not taking the elderly man's side. Yeah, I'm not defending Conor McGregor because it did not look good. It just doesn't look good from watching the video.
Yeah. Well, what all did the video show? It just showed Conor punching him.
It showed him putting the shots. It showed.
Oh, it showed the whole thing.
But there was no audio.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you don't know what was said.
Okay,
But
okay.
It looks bad for McGregor.
Yeah, it does. Now maybe none of that happened. Maybe the old man said, straight up said, "Look, I don't like you, and you're a loser,
Yeah.
and I'll kick your ass right now." And McGregor just hauled off and hit him. So now, if that's the case, then you can't really blame McGregor because this is based off of people claiming stuff that was there. So it's if the story's true, then I definitely think Conor needs a reprimand.
Yeah, definitely.
So, and that's kind of what we're going off of. So, but no, I think the UFC should crack down on him.
Oh yeah, I totally agree, man. they can't, sit here and represent their brand. He's not gonna say he's the face, but he's pretty close
He's
to being the face of the brand.
Oh yeah, well I mean they put him individually on the cover of one of their games.
UFC 3.
Yeah, UFC 3.
And I feel like they need to make it known that they're not okay with this,
Yeah, I agree. You wanna? I just saw Mary in there. You wanna know something funny I said to her last night?
What?
I kept crop dusting y'all, and she goes, "Oh, I don't know if you heard this. You were looking away," and she goes, "Oh, we need to get him a butt plug," and I said,
I heard that.
I said, "Oh, that's Hannah's thumb," and she goes, like just her face. I just thought of that, seeing her in there.
Yeah.
Just her face was like this, like grossed out face. I was laughing my butt off, but oh, not really appropriate, but that's funny.
About ready to wrap this thing up?
Yeah, it's about time to wrap it up. I've got to go home today.
Yeah,
So,
but thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for the support from the first episode. Thanks for everybody for giving us tips. This is definitely a learning curve for both of us, and we're working on to get better at every podcast. I know you can hear some waves in the background.
yeah, this isn't going to be a common thing for us.
This won't be a common thing. We just thought it would be neat to film it on the beach, but But just thank you for your support. Thank you for everybody for giving us a chance and watching the first podcast. We really appreciate you.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to be a guest on the show, I think either our next show or the show after, we're going to start having our first guest.
Yeah, we could possibly have our first guest,
maybe next weekend?
Next weekend.
Maybe on our next video.
We're going to talk to a couple of people, but we're going to start having guests pretty, not every week, but, semi-weekly pretty soon.
Oh, yeah, and so if you want to be a guest on the show, just follow our Facebook, send us a message. I mean, this is a pretty low profile thing, so it's not you're definitely not messaging Joe Rogan, like we'll get back with you. So just send us a message, and we'll try to get you on the show.
Oh yeah.
So but thank you everybody.
Yep. Thanks for listening, guys.